The UFC wished Paddy Pimblett a happy birthday earlier this week on January 3rd, and the popular Liverpool fighter is looking forward to a big 2022, hoping to fight early this year to begin his climb towards the top 15. However, former UFC lightweight Paul Felder has fired warning shots at Pimblett this week for his out-of-camp habits. Stay with us, as today we're looking at Felder's words of advice that you wouldn't want to miss. First up, let's look at Pimblett's career so far. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt Paddy Pimblett took the UFC by storm this past September with a first-round destruction of Luigi Vendramini, knocking him out in the very first round of his debut fight in the promotion. Pimblett recovered after taking a worrying early shot, which wobbled him, but it's going to take a lot more than that to finish the baddie. The ex-Cage Warriors featherweight champion, who is 17-3 so far in his fledgling career, won the belt after a rear naked choke win in his first-ever title shot. Pimblett is known for his excellent jiu-jitsu and counts a flying triangle against the Greek, Alexis Savitas, as one of his most impressive wins. He first came to the attention of Dana White and the UFC after going on a 9-fight win streak during his Cage Warriors career, and before he eventually signed for the top promotion, he actually turned them down twice, citing the fact that he knew he wasn't ready. He had ultimate confidence in the fact that the UFC would come calling again, and it was the third time, lucky for Pimblett, in the UFC last spring when he finally signed on. We cannot wait for Pimblett to fight again this year, as there is talk he could be out again as early as March, and we are excited to see who he might be matched up against. Who do you think would be a good fight for the baddie? Let us know below. So what has Felder had to say? It is well known by fans who have followed Pimblett since the early days of his career that he tends to blow up somewhat, weight-wise, between fights. And former UFC lightweight Felder, veteran of wars against the likes of Edson Barbosa, Rafael dos Anjos, and Mike Perry, has had his say on Pimblett's weight gain between fights. Pimblett has admitted himself that he gained 35 pounds after the Vendramini fight, and his Instagram page proved it, with the scouser pointing photos of his culinary work after the fight. Felder was on hand to warn him of the dangers of such weight gain by saying, "I think he's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know where he's going to go right away. I think he's going to see some losses early in his career to some of these top guys, but I think that he's just new blood. He's new life." This would have been all nice to hear for Pimblett, but it came with a warning. After complimenting him on his fighting style, commenting on how he doesn't really care about staying safe out there, before saying he likes his style and attitude, he then warned him to stop blowing up to 200 pounds in between fights, man. It's not worth it. And he's not far off. Pimblett probably would have been around 180 to 190 pounds if his own evaluation of gaining 35 pounds is true, which is no good for the body and heart, particularly to be gaining and losing such dramatic weight every 6 months. Who do we think the baddie might be up against come March? Stay tuned. Back in October, Pimblett himself hinted on social media that he already knew the identity of his next opponent as he posted a picture of himself putting in some pad work with the caption, "Contract signed." We haven't heard anything since then on who the potential opponent might be, but that hasn't stopped the rumor mill from doing its thing. There seems to be a strong rumor of a matchup with Donald Cowboy Cerrone, which would be a big test for Pimblett, as Cerrone has previously fought at welterweight and is naturally the bigger man. I mean, he fought Pimblett's fellow Liverpudlian, Darren Till, who is huge. Cerrone isn't the Cerrone UFC fans all know and love anymore, but he would still make things difficult for Pimblett, and his arsenal consists of excellent ground game and dangerous head kicks amongst other tools. Being in such a stacked division, which includes killers like current champ Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, and Justin Gaethje, Pimblett might have to bide his time for a shot at the big time, but while he has recently reiterated his plan on only fighting ranked fighters, Conor McGregor's name has also been thrown around in fighting circles. Could a showdown with the Notorious be on the cards? This one would be the money fight, and it could be an all-time record in pay-per-views should it get the green light. What do you guys make of this one? Let us know below. Some news on the apparent Jake Paul and Dana White beef now. Stick around to find out more. Jake Paul threw down the gauntlet this past weekend by calling out Dana White on behalf of the entire UFC roster in an apparent good guy move. Paul said he was willing to fight welterweight and former backyard brawler Jorge Masvidal in the UFC no less if White was to meet the YouTuber-turned-boxer's demands. Paul claimed that he would immediately retire from boxing and fight Jorge if White agreed to increase fighter pay to $50,000 minimum per fight. It currently stands at $12,000 according to Paul. He went on to demand that fighters receive 50% of the promotion's annual revenues. Last year, the company made $1 billion all told, so that would be a nice slice of the pie for the guys who actually put their bodies on the line. The next thing he demanded was that the UFC provide long-term health care to all fighters, before claiming that White has said that brain damage is part of the sport. There won't be many fighters on the roster that disagree with Paul, and he went on to tell them, "To all UFC fighters, time to take a stand and create value for yourselves and peers. You deserve higher pay, you deserve long-term health care, and above all, you deserve freedom. Support each other. I'm not your enemy. I'm your advocate who selfishly wants to KO a few of you to make some big bank." Big words from Paul. What did Dana have to say? Let's see. Posting a video to Twitter, White responded with some criticism of his own. First of all, he appeared to deflect attention from what Paul had said by claiming that Paul never responded to a previous challenge. challenge. Jake had claimed that White was a cocaine user, something which the UFC president denied, and also told Paul he could randomly drug test him for the next 10 years if White could do the same thing, but to test Paul for steroids, before claiming that the younger Paul brother was a cheat. Dana went on to claim that no one believes that he wrote the list of demands which called on White to increase benefits for his fighters, as he is too dumb. Say what you like about Jake Paul, and we're not huge fans of the guy over here, but he isn't dumb. The guy has somehow earned himself millions out of his YouTube videos, and now has marketed himself as one of the top draws in pro boxing. He then challenged Paul to start his own promotion and do it himself if he thinks he can do it better than White, claiming it's easy to do. I would be careful what you wish for, Dana. Plenty of people have underestimated Paul up to this point, and so far, all have been left with egg on their faces. What do you guys make of this beef? Let us know below. News of another potential crossover next. Stay tuned to hear all about it. After Paul called out Dana to increase fighter benefits and asked to be added to the UFC roster for a one-fight-only deal, women's boxing superstar Amanda Serrano, who is currently rumored to be taking on Irish champ Katie Taylor in her next boxing bout, jumped on the bandwagon and asked for the same deal to fight women's flyweight champ Valentina Shevchenko. She wrote on Twitter, "I will gladly sign a one-fight deal with the UFC to challenge Valentina for the flyweight championship if UFC agrees to Jake's offer. Let's make history." Knowing how technically superb Shevchenko is all over the octagon, we would offer a word of caution to Serrano. Obviously, she is a fantastic striker, but MMA is completely different, as if she gets taken down, it's good night. This could be a similar story for Paul, although Masvidal isn't renowned for his ground game. How do you think it would go for Serrano if she were to get in the octagon with Bullet? Let us know your predictions below. As always, thanks for tuning in today, and remember to stop by next time for some more fun and games. Also, why not do us a solid and share this video with any UFC fan friends you might have on your socials. Bye guys, and Happy New Year.